If you've applied to residency in Canada or the US through CARMS or ERAS and have been invited to an interview, this video is for you. Today I'm going to discuss 10 different residency interview questions and answers, along with tips for how to answer each question appropriately. So stick around because 10 sample, full-length answers will be hard to come by, and you'll most likely see some or all of these questions in your residency interviews. Before we begin, hi, I'm Nadine Evans, an admissions associate at BeMo Academic Consulting. Make sure you subscribe now on whatever social media channel you're watching this from so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you'd like us to help you with your residency interview, click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. As a quick tip, check out the timestamps in the description of this video if you're looking to navigate quickly to specific sections of the video. Okay, let's go into the residency interview question number 1. Why have you decided to pursue X specialty and our program specifically? So a few tips first. Highlight any common values and passions. Discuss what you enjoy about the specialty and relevant experiences. Highlight any personal connections to the school, program, or location. Discuss what you are most excited about when you think of attending this program. Here's a sample answer. Emergency medicine is exciting with a variety of patient presentations and medical procedures done on a daily basis. I enjoy dealing with the unexpected challenges that arise in caring for patients with backgrounds vastly different from my own. It would be a privilege to gain the skills as an emergency physician to provide acute life-saving care, to connect patients with resources and other healthcare professionals, and to provide comfort to patients and families in the setting of acute loss or difficult diagnoses. I feel that the RCPS program is the ideal path to reach that goal. First, the RCPS program offers additional support and training to continue to perform research and other scholarly activities. Through my experience in quality improvement, I have learned of the value of research and how it can be applied to practical problems. For instance, while volunteering in a pool rehabilitation program for individuals with neurological disabilities, a patient who I had worked with for a year tragically suffered a fall and broke his hip, leaving him significantly disabled. This led me to research inpatient falls during medical school, and I initiated a quality improvement project and presented at several conferences, quality improvement rounds, and meetings with hospital stakeholders. After several years of work, I am very proud that this led to the implementation of a province-wide quality improvement initiative funded by Doctors of BC and the BC Ministry of Health. This initiative is physician-led and is aimed at reducing inpatient falls across British Columbia. This project demonstrated how rewarding research is when it can be translated into tangible initiatives, and is why I am particularly interested in quality improvement research. In addition to increased training in research, the RCPS program offers the opportunity to subspecialize within EM. While in medical school, I helped my single mother raise my much younger siblings, and this has inspired my interest in pediatric EM. Through my experiences teaching and playing with my siblings, I have learned to deal with children in a calm and friendly manner. I used these skills to maintain positive therapeutic relationships with children during my pediatric EM rotation at Alberta Children's Hospital. For instance, I was able to cast the forearm of a frightened child by first demonstrating the procedure on her toy rabbit, and then calmly fitting a cast on her arm. I enjoy the emphasis on patient and family education, as well as the focus on making the patient feel safe and cared for. I would feel privileged to join the resident team in the Fraser program. I was fortunate that most of my core clerkship training included EM, as well as my 4th-year EM elective was at the Royal Columbia Hospital, RCH. What stands out the most to me about working in the RCH ED is the tight-knit community feel in the setting of a high-acuity ED. I value that the small program leads to a cohesive resident group and staff who are invested in their learners. Furthermore, from my rotations there, I know the ample procedural and hands-on exposure residents get from the beginning of their training. With my interest in pediatric EM, I value the longitudinal exposure to pediatrics at RCH, with opportunities to do dedicated pediatric rotations both at Surrey Memorial Hospital as well as BC Children's Hospital. Finally, the Fraser Valley is my home. My family and friends are here, and I love that hiking, fishing, kayaking, and snowboarding are all less than an hour away. I would be incredibly honored to have the privilege of pursuing EM in the Fraser program and look forward to serving my community. The second residency interview question is tell me about yourself, and you'll notice that I've created a separate video dedicated exactly to how to answering this question that I've linked to at the end of this video. So a few tips: do not recite your CV. Show, don't tell, who you are and what makes you unique. Discuss a few items and characteristics that are part of your identity. Expand by discussing why you love those items, what you learned from them, and why they're significant. Number 3, tell me about a time you failed. So some tips for answering this question. Take ownership of the failure and don't play the victim. Reflect on the failure with maturity. Discuss what you learned and how you can tackle this in the future with more success. Don't discuss immoral or ethically questionable tendencies. And here's a sample answer. Since high school, I was always uncomfortable with my body, so I decided to finally go to the gym during my sophomore year of college. I worked out many times a week and actually felt like I was on my way towards getting my dream body. However, after a solid month of going to the gym, I did not see any improvements in my body and actually found out that I ended up gaining 5 pounds after weighing myself. At that moment, I felt like a complete failure because I put in so much time and effort towards achieving a goal, and I felt like I did not achieve it. I didn't believe that I would ever be able to attain my ideal body and that any effort in doing so would be a waste of my time. Fortunately, I told my friend Nigel, who goes to the gym frequently, that I was struggling to reach my fitness goals. He was concerned for me, so he asked me about my fitness routine and what my diet was like. I told him that I had only been running on the treadmill and that I didn't pay much attention to my nutrition because I thought that doing cardio alone would be enough to lose weight. Nigel explained to me that losing weight involves a combination of modifying your exercise and your diet. He told me about a mobile app called MyFitnessPal, which allowed me to monitor my calorie consumption so that I stayed under my daily limit. After following Nigel's advice, I went to the gym consistently and ate within a calorie deficit each day. Within another month, I finally saw the results I was looking for and ended up losing 8 pounds. I learned from this failure that it is always helpful to seek out others' advice because they may know more about a particular topic or they may approach a certain problem differently than I would. I apply this same approach of consulting with others whenever I'm faced with any challenges that I can't overcome myself. Residency interview question number 4. Give me an example of your response in a stressful, pressure-filled situation. A couple of tips first. Describe the situation honestly. Discuss how you felt and how you responded and what you learned. And here's a sample answer. While volunteering at a homeless clinic, I was tasked with organizing the line for haircuts, a service that is available monthly. I was going through my list of people waiting for haircuts, trying to ensure optimal efficiency, when someone came up to me clearly annoyed. They demanded to know when their turn was, but their name wasn't on my list despite their insistence that they'd signed up. I sincerely apologized and added their name to my list with a promise to squeeze them in somewhere. Afterwards, I went to my supervisor and inquired why I had been approached with that question. She gave me a second full list of names that she had previously forgotten to give me. I had told many people on the first list that their haircuts were practically guaranteed. However, looking between the lists, I knew many of the people on both lists were not going to be able to get haircuts. With some advice from my supervisor, I began merging the lists while ensuring as many people as possible could get a haircut. It wasn't fair that some would be denied the service due to miscommunication. I mentioned the situation to one of the homeless ladies waiting for her turn, and she scoffed at my concern before explaining that the other patrons were likely not as upset as they claimed to be. Through this experience, I was reminded that I was adaptable, but also learned that I can handle conflict and solve problems. Moreover, I realized that I was the source of my own stress in this situation, and that I just needed to change my response to the stress rather than eliminating its source. The annoyed person, like many others in their position, just wanted to be heard and see something was being done to solve the problem. It was easy to calm her after realizing this, and I was reminded of how important it is for people, especially those in vulnerable positions, to see someone by their side trying to help them in any way they can. When the hairdresser returned a month later, I took extra steps to ensure confusion did not ensue, and we set a new record for haircuts done in 4 hours. Okay, the 5th residency interview question is tell me about a time you worked in a group. So some tips for how to answer this question appropriately. Discuss a relevant situation, discuss what you learned in that situation, and make sure that you discuss why teamwork is essential. Here's a sample answer. As an executive member of a women's leadership organization, we planned and executed a fundraiser in my community to raise money for the Alzheimer's Society of Canada. During a team meeting to decide what type of fundraisers we should implement, I was able to see a variety of perspectives. One committee member who worked in retail suggested having a coffee break at a local mall, whereas another member who was a university student suggested having a bake sale in a student neighborhood, and I shared my thoughts on implementing an online bake sale and delivery service. Collaboratively, we were able to implement a variety of different fundraisers that catered to a diverse population of community members, and we fundraised over $2,000 for the cause. By working in a group setting, I learned that a group thrives when all members feel included and valued. Listening to a variety of different perspectives can lead to the creation of novel solutions in a problem. Being able to work well in a group setting will serve me as a physician, as I will be presented with multiple different perspectives from my patients and colleagues and must take them into account when creating treatment plans. Okay, the 6th residency interview question. A patient of yours comes into your office and asks you if it would be okay for her to try homeopathy for the minor aches and pains and headaches she's been experiencing. You are not aware of any scientific literature about the efficacy of homeopathy, but you are aware that it's practically without side effects. What do you do? Some tips in dealing with these scenario-based questions. You need to identify the pressing issue. You need to gather more information. Discuss physician and patient expectations and considerations while remaining non-judgmental in your approach. Here's a sample answer. I recognize that it's my responsibility as a physician to inform the patient about potential treatments available to help her aches and pains while also respecting her autonomy. The first thing I would need to do is gather more information to help me understand what may be the underlying cause of her pain. I would ensure to speak in private with her and try to collect information in a compassionate, non-judgmental way. I'd ask questions to determine when the pain first started, what level of pain she's experiencing, whether she's had any past injuries or trauma, as well as questions to help me understand her work environment. Through these questions, I might learn that she was injured playing sports or was involved in a car accident. This information will help me in my recommendation for treatments and diagnostic tests such as X-rays or ultrasounds. Once I feel I've collected sufficient information to better understand her aches, pains, and headaches, I would use this knowledge to educate her on the best course of action. This may include referring her to a chiropractor, an optometrist, or a rheumatologist. With each option that I discuss, I would be sure to explain thoroughly and ask her questions to ensure she understands the different treatment options, which would allow her to make an informed decision about which option or options she'd like to pursue. After I've explained the options available from my point of view, I'd be sure to explain to her that I'm not aware of any scientific literature that suggests homeopathy is effective in the treatment of minor aches, pains, and headaches, but that I do know that homeopathy is practically without side effects. I'd explain that homeopathy is a form of alternative medicine and that she may not experience any benefit aside from a placebo effect. However, even a placebo can be effective. I'd ensure that I'm fostering a supportive environment, and once I felt she understood the traditional versus alternative treatment options, I'd tell her that she and I should work together in the decision-making process, but ultimately she can choose whichever treatment option she feels is the best for her. Okay, residency interview question number 7. What has been one of your proudest moments? A couple tips first to help you answer this question. Don't boast. Discuss why the moment made you proud. Discuss what you achieved and what you learned, and discuss why this is significant or beneficial. Here's a sample answer. I ran and was elected for my first student government position in grade 7 as a class representative. I had just moved to a new school to escape bullying, and I decided to push myself right into student advocacy to reestablish my voice. I discovered that in my position, I could not only advocate on behalf of students, but to also invoke positive change. I went on to continue a strong tradition of involvement in student politics in high school and then university. As an elective representative of my faculty to the highest level of student government, I had a large platform and a responsibility to use it effectively to benefit the students who had elected me. I placed a strong emphasis on mental health, a significant issue that students face in higher education. The achievement I am most proud of is the institution of a fall reading week at Queen's University to improve student mental health and academic performance. During my term, we discussed this issue with university administration for months, often late into the night, working to reach an effective compromise between what the administration and what the students wanted. The following year was the first year Queen's University introduced a fall term reading break. As a student leader representing thousands of students, I demonstrated the ability to speak confidently and professionally about student issues and a desire to improve student life through collaboration with other faculties. I discovered that in my position, I could not only advocate on behalf of students, but to also invoke positive change. I hope to use this experience, along with the skills I've developed, to advocate for my community and work towards solutions for mental health issues. Residency interview question number 8. It's another scenario-based question, and you could find yourself getting one of these questions or something very similar to this in your residency interview. You are working on a small group project and another student isn't meeting his or her responsibility. What do you do? So tips: identify the pressing issue, gather information, explore multiple situations and considerations, and of course remain non-judgmental in your approach. Here's a sample answer. Resolving this issue requires making sure that everyone in the group feels valued and understands the importance of their contribution to our ultimate goal. If a member of my team is not contributing to the group substantially, it would negatively affect the rest of our group and our grades could suffer. I would first gather information pertaining to their situation and try to understand their perspective. To gather information, I would have a private meeting with this individual so they do not feel targeted by the entire group questioning them. It's possible that this member does not understand the expectations of the group, so maybe this private conversation would be a sufficient solution. I could explain the level of contribution expected of them so we can all work together and complete the project successfully. Perhaps this would be enough to ensure that this group member meets their responsibilities. It's also possible that there are factors outside of their control or that they are facing a personal struggle that is preventing them from contributing to their fullest. In this case, I would show them compassion and understanding by listening to what they would feel comfortable sharing with me. If they tell me about a situation I could help with, such as time management, I would try to connect with them and discuss potential strategies or techniques to help manage multiple projects and complete tasks on time. If something more serious is affecting their workability, such as drug abuse or family issues, I would try to help by letting them know what resources are available to them to help them through this difficult time in their life. In addition, I would discuss with my group and with my superior to determine if they can still contribute to the group's efforts. If, on the other hand, there are no extenuating circumstances affecting their contributions, yet they still refuse to contribute to the group despite my efforts, then a discussion with our professor or superior would be warranted to either remove them from the group or discuss the possibility of individual evaluation for our contributions. This way, each person receives a grade that is relevant to their level of effort and contribution. The 9th residency interview question is: describe a personal or professional conflict you have experienced. So tips for answering this question appropriately. Don't accuse and don't play the victim. Make sure that you use neutral language and a neutral tone. You don't want to sound like you're angry or upset when you're discussing your answer. Explain the situation honestly. Describe the resolution and what you learned from the experience. Here's a sample answer. During my year as the president of the women's lacrosse team, my vice president and I didn't really see eye to eye on many issues. One of those instances was during the beginning of our term. We had many ideas, specifically in regards to how to overcome the challenge of increasing player attendance at practice. After a meeting with the players, my vice president and I came into a minor disagreement over where the problem of low attendance stemmed and the most effective way of solving it. She did not agree with my approach, and I was not certain of the reason behind hers either. We were faced with a delicate situation to create a perfect balance of commitment. Hearing as each other provided rationale and evidence for their approach, we gained perspective into each other's thought process. Fortunately, this open dialogue fueled a collaboration, leading us to improve both approaches and merge them together. To start, we decided to keep better track of attendance. This way, we could set more concrete guidelines for playing time and team bonding activities. With school schedules taken into account, girls were allowed to miss up to 1/3 of practices before they suffered any consequences. Playing time became based on percentage of practices attended. Lastly, we set a monthly budget with which we decided to do both weekly and monthly activities. We felt that this combination of positive and negative reinforcement would create a good equilibrium for cultivating practice involvement. The results surpassed our expectations. Now that a fair system was in place to keep girls accountable, there was a 40% increase in attendance at practice. Players felt that they were receiving the right amount of reward for their hard work. Furthermore, team bonding activities created friendships and a sense of unity, making girls excited to hang out with teammates in and out of practice. Above all, we communicated better on the field and had more fun playing. My role as the president of the women's lacrosse team taught me a lot. It was, however, this challenge at the very beginning of the year that shaped me as a leader the most. The first board meeting and the results of our policy changes showed me the importance of a collaboration to being an effective leader. We were successful in solving our problem because we communicated with the team and each other. Thus, the most important lesson I took from this situation was to stop and listen, both to those I serve and those I work beside. I learned it is only when we provide others consideration that we can be respected leaders. With this in my mind, I now always approach my challenge, personal or professional, with full appreciation for other people's voices. Okay, and the 10th residency interview question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So tips to answering this question. Describe your vision of future practice and your intended contribution. Provide evidence to support your vision. Use specifics such as work setting, patient population, location, or specialties, but avoid coming across as inflexible. You don't want it to seem that you're rigid and you're definitely only going to pursue this one specialty. You have to make sure that you're flexible because plans do change. Here's a sample answer. In my junior year, I was one of 2 non-nursing majors accepted to participate in a study abroad program, primarily intended for nursing majors to gain clinical hours in the British Virgin Islands. I was able to rotate through several different units, one of which was the operating room. Observing in the OR was one of the most significant experiences in medicine I have had because it allowed me to experience the surgical world firsthand. I had the opportunity to be side by side with surgeons, anesthesiologists, and other members of the team and observe procedures that I would never have been able to do in the US, like the cesarean section as an undergraduate exercise science major. Being in the OR reinforced my dream of being part of a team like the one I watched performing surgery after surgery. The long hours and tedious work was truly remarkable, but the C-section really made an impression because the beauty and joy that came with the birth of a human being completely offset an otherwise extremely gory scene. Observing a C-section was such an emotional experience for me, and it made me appreciate how women trust other people with the fragile lives of their fetuses and allow physicians to lead them through the life-changing journey of childbirth. Earning such a privilege is not to be taken lightly, and I hope I am able to earn my patients' trust in my abilities as a future physician. 5 years from now, I see myself working in a career with obstetrics combined with global health initiatives. I intend on practicing in an urban area in the US where I can be exposed to the most diverse experiences. I also want to pursue global opportunities within my medical education and beyond in order to help people in medically underserved areas. Hopefully these residency interview questions and answers have been helpful for you in determining how to structure your own response to these questions. Are you struggling to answer one of these common residency interview questions? If so, let me know in the comments section and I'll be sure to get back to you with some recommendations. So that'll wrap up another one of our videos. So please subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you have any questions that I didn't cover in today's video. If you'd like us to help you with your residency interview, click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. Hope you enjoyed watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next time.